The royal physicians had already given up, not publicly, of course. In public, they bowed respectfully beneath crystal lanterns and spoke in careful ceremonial tones. But privately, they whispered the truth through trembling breaths. The dragon princess was dying. And nobody in the empire understood why. Far above the burning skies of Velkaris Prime floated the Celestial Citadel, home of the Drakari, the oldest and most feared species in known space. The Drakari were enormous winged beings covered in shimmering metallic scales, capable of surviving vacuum exposure, plasma storms, and gravitational shifts that would crush ordinary lifeforms instantly. Entire star systems feared them. Entire governments obeyed them, and at the center of their vast empire lived Princess Lyara, the last royal heir, the future of the Drakari throne. And now, a dying child, her condition made no sense. Drakari biology was legendary. Their immune systems adapted instantly, their bones regenerated, their lifespans stretched centuries. Yet Princess Lyara grew weaker every cycle. Her scales lost their silver glow, her wings trembled during flight, and strange dark fractures spread beneath her skin, like cracks in cooling lava. Every doctor failed, every machine failed, every treatment failed. Some claimed it was a curse. Others believed it was sabotage. A few quietly feared prophecy, because ancient Drakari legends spoke of a silent burning, a sickness that appeared only once every 1,000 years, a sickness no dragon had ever survived. The emperor refused to accept it. Emperor Kalar was terrifying, even among his own species. Massive black horns curved backward from his skull, while ancient battle scars glowed faintly across armored scales. Entire fleets retreated at the sound of his voice, but beside Lyara's bedside, he looked helpless, and helplessness frightened everyone more than his anger ever had. "You will find a cure," he growled one evening while royal physicians knelt trembling beneath holographic medical displays. "You command the greatest healers in the galaxy," one physician whispered desperately. "We have exhausted every known science." Kalar's eyes burned bright gold. "Then invent new science." Nobody answered, because nobody had hope left. At the very edge of the royal city lived humans, not many, mostly diplomats, engineers, and trade workers stationed under fragile peace agreements with the Drakari Empire. Humans fascinated the dragons, fragile, short-lived, emotionally chaotic, and somehow impossible to predict, which explained why nobody paid attention to Elias Mercer, a 12-year-old human boy living with his mother inside the lower maintenance districts beneath the citadel. As Elias spent most of his days wandering restricted corridors he absolutely wasn't supposed to explore. Officially, his mother repaired atmospheric processors. Unofficially, she spent most days apologizing for her son accidentally appearing in forbidden places, again and again and again. "You cannot keep sneaking into royal sectors," his mother warned constantly. "But they're interesting. They're guarded by soldiers with plasma spears. They haven't stabbed me yet." That is not comforting. Elias loved machines, loved puzzles, loved figuring out how things worked, especially alien things. While other children played holo games, Elias disassembled broken drone parts and rebuilt them into strange little inventions. The Drakari engineers secretly admired him, mostly because the boy somehow fixed systems adults couldn't understand. One maintenance worker swore Elias repaired a gravity stabilizers using scrap wiring and chewing gum. Nobody proved otherwise. The first time Elias saw Princess Lyara, he wasn't supposed to be there, naturally. Royal medical chambers remained heavily restricted. But Elias had discovered a hidden maintenance passage months earlier, while chasing a cleaning drone through ventilation tunnels. Which was how he accidentally crawled directly into the Royal Observation Wing. He froze immediately. Massive guards stood motionless near glowing crystal pillars, while dozens of medical drones hovered silently around an elevated chamber. And inside, the princess slept. Elias stared in shock. He'd never seen a Drakari royal before. Lyara looked smaller than he expected, still enormous compared to humans, but fragile somehow, weak. Her silver scales looked dull beneath the chamber lights, while dark cracks spread visibly across one wing. Elias frowned. Something felt wrong immediately. Not emotionally, mechanically. Like seeing a machine part spinning incorrectly. One royal physician sighed heavily nearby. She grows worse every hour. We've adjusted thermal regulation again, another replied. No improvement. Elias kept staring, then quietly whispered. That's weird. Every guard instantly turned toward him. The next several minutes became extremely unpleasant. 2 guards dragged Elias before the Emperor personally, which felt unfair considering he technically hadn't broken anything, thinking this time, probably. Kalor sat upon a massive obsidian throne, overlooking the medical chamber. His gold eyes narrowed dangerously at the tiny humans standing before him. You infiltrated royal territory. Elias swallowed hard. Yes, you entered restricted medical chambers. Also yes. And now my guards inform me you questioned royal physicians. Elias hesitated. Well. The Emperor leaned forward slowly. Explain. Most people would have panicked. Most people would have fainted. Elias instead pointed toward the princess. Her room is too hot. Silence. The royal physicians blinked. Kalor stared. What? Elias pointed again confidently. The thermal levels are wrong. One physician scoffed immediately. Impossible. Drakari require extreme heat stabilization during illness. That's true for adults. Elias replied instantly. The physician frowned. And? Elias tilted his head. She's still growing. Silence filled the chamber again. Because nobody had considered that. Not once. Drakari matured slowly over decades. Lyara technically remained juvenile by their species standards. Elias stepped toward a nearby holographic disc nervously. Can I? Nobody stopped him. Mostly because everyone felt too confused. The human boy adjusted several thermal readings rapidly. See? The chamber temperature keeps increasing automatically because the system recognizes royal Drakari biology. His finger pointed toward Lyara. But her body is fighting the heat instead of healing from it. One physician frowned. That's impossible. Elias shook his head. No. It's adaptive stress response. Kalor's massive wings shifted slightly. How would a human child know this? Elias answered honestly. I keep reptiles. Silence. Absolute silence. One guard coughed violently, trying not to laugh. The Emperor stared at the boy for several long seconds, then slowly turned toward his physicians. Adjust the chamber. Nobody expected it to work, especially not Elias. But within 2 hours, the princess stabilized, not cured, not healed, but stable for the first time in months. Her breathing slowed naturally. The dark fractures stopped spreading temporarily. And when Lyara finally opened her eyes weakly, the entire medical chamber froze. Because the princess smiled faintly. Cool. Royal physicians nearly collapsed from shock. The Emperor looked like someone had struck him physically. And Elias? Elias immediately grinned proudly. Told you. That should have been the end, it wasn't. Because once Elias noticed the first problem, he started noticing others, lots of others. The human boy practically lived inside the medical wing afterward. At first the royal staff hated this arrangement. mostly because Elias touched everything and asked questions constantly. Why is this crystal connected backwards? Why are her nutrient levels based on adult metabolism? Why does this machine smell burned? One engineer turned pale instantly. It smells burned? The machine exploded 6 minutes later. Elias became extremely unpopular with hospital equipment, but terrifyingly useful. Meanwhile, Princess Lyara became fascinated with the human child, mostly because he treated her normally. Everyone else treated her like fragile royalty. Elias treated her like another kid. "You look bored," he announced one afternoon while adjusting a diagnostic scanner. "I am royalty." That wasn't an answer. Lyara blinked slowly. "I believe I am still bored." "Yeah, that sounds serious." For the first time in months, the princess laughed, tiny, weak, but real, and the entire room relaxed hearing it. Days passed, then weeks, and slowly, Lyara improved. Her scales regained faint silver light, the fractures weakened. She even descended short flights inside the recovery chamber. The Empire celebrated cautiously. But Elias remained worried. Because something still didn't fit, the sickness wasn't random, it followed patterns, specific patterns. And one night, Elias finally discovered the truth. The answer wasn't inside Lyara. It was inside the Citadel itself. The Celestial Citadel ran on ancient geothermal energy, pulled directly from Valkyris Prime's planetary core. Massive visionary currents flowed beneath the palace constantly. Invisible, powerful, and deadly, especially to young Drakari. Elias discovered it accidentally while repairing ventilation sensors beneath the royal wing. The energy frequencies matched the dark fractures, spreading through Lyara's scales exactly. The palace itself was poisoning her, not intentionally, but slowly, for centuries. Adult Drakari adapted naturally to the radiation. But Lyara's growing body couldn't. Elias ran through the corridors, carrying scanner data wildly. "She's not sick." Guards scrambled after him immediately. "The energy fields are damaging her cells." Royal physicians gathered in confusion, while Elias projected the readings desperately. The palace core resonance keeps destabilizing her biology. One scientist stared at the data in horror. Impossible. But it wasn't. And suddenly, everything made sense. Why treatments failed. Why symptoms worsened near the throne chambers. Why Lyara improved only after thermal adjustments changed energy circulation slightly. The Emperor arrived moments later. Elias looked directly at him. "You have to move her." Kalor frowned. "The royal bloodline has always lived within the Citadel. If she stays here," Elias whispered quietly, "she dies." Silence consumed the chamber. Because every physician knew the boy was right. The Emperor faced an impossible choice. Abandon the sacred royal palace, or lose his daughter forever. Entire traditions stood against the decision: ancient laws, political expectations, religious customs. But Kalor looked toward Lyara, weakly sleeping beneath dim chamber lights, and instantly chose. "Prepare the sky sanctuary." Every royal advisor protested immediately. "The sanctuary is abandoned. The throne cannot relocate. The Empire will view this as weakness." Kalor's roar shook the entire chamber. "Let them." Silence followed instantly. Because for the first time, the Emperor cared more about being a father than being feared. The sky sanctuary floated high above Valkyris Prime's atmosphere, ancient, peaceful, far from the dangerous geothermal energy beneath the Citadel. The moment Lyara arrived there, everything changed. Within days, the fractures vanished completely. Her strength returned rapidly, her wings stabilized, and one morning, the Dragon Princess flew again. Not short glides, not weak attempts, real flight. Powerful silver wings cutting through the clouds, while sunrise ignited across her scales, like living fire. The entire sanctuary watched in stunned silence. Elias nearly fell off the observation platform, cheering. She did it! Lyara circled through the sky laughing joyfully, a sound the Empire thought lost forever. News spread across the galaxy instantly. The Dragon Princess survived, not through ancient medicine, not through advanced royal science, but because a human child noticed what nobody else could see. At first, many Drakari found that humiliating, then they found it inspiring, because humans viewed problems differently. Smaller perspective, different instincts, different assumptions. And, sometimes, that difference changed everything. Weeks later, Emperor Kalor summoned Elias privately. The massive ruler studied the boy quietly. "You saved my daughter." Elias scratched the back of his neck awkwardly. "I mostly just asked weird questions." "Exactly." Kalor stepped closer slowly. "For centuries, my people believed wisdom belonged only to the powerful." His golden eyes softened slightly. "You proved wisdom can belong to anyone." Elias smiled faintly. "Even annoying human kids?" The Emperor considered this. "Especially annoying human kids." Princess Lyara never forgot him either. Years later, long after her recovery became legend, Drakari children still told stories about the tiny human boy who saved the Dragon Princess. Not with weapons, not with magic, but simply because he looked at the impossible and asked the one question nobody else thought to ask. And somewhere across the stars, that became humanity's greatest strength. Not power, not fear, not conquest, but curiosity. The stubborn refusal to stop searching for answers, even when entire civilizations give up hope. And because of one human child, the Dragon Princess lived, the Empire changed. And the galaxy learned something unforgettable. Sometimes the smallest voice in the room sees the truth most clearly.